Hello, Rachel.
How are you?
I am doing splendid. How about
Dandy?
Fine and dandy.
Oh, I love that.
What about yourself?
I'm good.
Only good? On the alignment chart, are you lawful?
Neutral.
You're neutral? You're not chaotic good? Everyone, listen to the podcast. You tell us, is Rachel lawful, neutral, or chaotic good? Which one does she fall on? And what do I fall on? I think I'm neutral, of course. No, of course not. But Rachel, I am good, you are good. We are all...
I'm excited to talk about Amos.
Oh, well, let's start talking about your boy, Amos. Let's get into the heart of the matter.
Not yet. There's an intro that we need to do first. But we are here to talk about The Expanse, which one of the main characters is Amos. So, and he's in a lot of this episode, and he's very important to me.
He's important to everyone. He's important to me. He's important to you. He's important to the listeners out there, the
I don't think he's as
younglings.
important as Yum Yum is to you, though.
Or you.
No, he's more important than the Yum Yum moment from Star Trek Discovery Season 2, where individual, by technicality, a character is offered the opportunity to murder one of the antagonists.
Who offers that opportunity?
Actress.
Yeah?
Oscar
winning
actress Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh was in Discovery before she won an Oscar. She stopped doing Discovery, immediately won an Oscar. Yeah, well, yes, she plays the character of Space Hitler. I don't know the status of Michelle Yeoh's war crimes
she was
intergalactically speaking.
Space Hitler in Discovery.
Thank you. She
was the ellipses that I was
imagining. That's fine. And you were saying this this great character, Space Hitler, offered the opportunity to murder someone to a character who, well...
Commander Nandi, and Commander Nandi said, yum yum. Ryan likes to say that she sexily licked her lips and swooshed her hair back, and
she did
part of that's a lie, but it's a lie...
No one will ever know.
We've said so much, it feels true.
No one will ever know because no one ever goes back to watch that episode to proof check, to fact check us there, to look over and say, hey, she doesn't have hair.
No.
But
thankfully, we're not here to talk about Discovery. We are here to talk about The Expanse, which we are watching for the first time. And I'm excited to hear what the description is for this episode, which is Season 5?
Episode 2.
Churn.
Yeah, Churn, which is obviously going to be an episode about Alex. God, Rachel, she was doing a little dance and I shut her down real good because I did a bait and switch. I swapped out which A-member cast character will it be. It's about Alex. How he actually has a churn that he has in his belly from eating.
In the churn.
Yeah, well... So
the cowboy food.
Oh, it's getting to the beans. They're getting to his belly.
Too much fiber.
We have made it up to season 5 in our watch through of The Expanse, and this is episode 2, Churn, which according to IMDb goes as such: Holden and Fred deal with infiltrators on Tycho. Drummer's past comes back to haunt her. Amos returns to Baltimore. Alex and Bobby's investigation on Mars leads to rogue soldiers. Kind of. Some of those things, I like the one that made it sound like Drummer had a really big thing to do in this one. Her past came back to haunt her, all right. Yes, I guess. Sure. And with this series, The Expanse, we were so bowled over by the introduction of our lead character because he was gifted to us through zero-G sex. And with the Yum Yum moment from Star Trek Discovery that inspired us to podcast, there was an innate sexual quality to it. I'm not just making that up, am I?
No.
No,
We found it to be sensual.
Sensual, erotic, thrilling, licking of the lips worthy, and we thought that The Expanse was going to be a series that was going to give us the goods of sexiness, and it has from time to time, and every episode we like to have a little check-in. We like to dip our toe in the water and say, did we find something in this one? Yum yum. And Rachel, since it's an Amos-centric episode, how about you hit us in the face first with your automatic Amos pick? Because Rachel is very much attracted to Amos and loves to let us know how he managed to flick the switches this time.
He's a sad little potato this episode.
But he made a friend.
Oh, well, it's pretty great. I was going to go with Chrissy, I need a favor.
Really? Wow.
I really liked that moment because it was just coming off the back of him, like, intimidating the thugs that were trying to intimidate him. And he's just like, I know what I gotta do.
What about when he stole the alcohol, the really expensive alcohol, and he had a nice little grin on his face while doing it? He was fun. You say he was a sad boy in this episode. I think he had some cheekiness to him.
He did. He still does, but he's just like, I'm like, oh.
No, I'm a simple man.
You're sad.
I'm a simple man. I'm not going to lie to everyone. Of course, my pick, my regular standard Yum Yum pick, is Bobby working out.
Yes.
I mean, I have eyes. I have a heart, don't I? I have blood that pumps.
The fact
clearly
that doesn't, like, I don't even think of that.
Yeah. Well, she's doing something for me more than for you.
I thought of Avasarala's outfit before I thought of Bobby working out.
Well, our priorities are in very different places. You're thinking of the fashion being sexy, and I'm thinking of the hot, sweaty bods.
Nice bod. Tight bod. Hard bod. I want your bod.
What did you think of this episode overall?
I found it really fascinating because I came into it with an expectation.
It does not feel like an episode 2, and I mean that as high praise and fully a compliment, as somebody who has learned to recognize how much they hate the first act.
Now, there's a lot happening in the episode, and I'm not going to negate that, but this was one of those in which it had a certain atmosphere and tone that felt like a quiet slice of life affair, even though we had this plot element and this plot element and this thing. Amos's story and the way it was explored was not what I was expecting.
Hefty and grounded.
And yet it also had a lightness to it as well.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't... My big thing is I was expecting this to be the big... I wasn't expecting, but a part of me was expecting this to be played as trauma porny for him.
Yeah.
But the way that the performances were done, the writing was done, the direction, the overall like presentation of the thing was a lot more laid back than I was really coming into this episode for. I was thinking, we're going to have Amos is going to get violent. He's going to cry. There's going to be this and this and this. And we're going to hit the information about his past.
That with the fight that he had on the ship going to Luna.
And also last season when he lost his sight, he became like a wild animal about being in the dark. But yet at the same time, I knew with how they've handled his character and this backstory that's been alluded to for all of this time, that they would have a sensitivity to it. So overall, I really enjoyed this episode. This is one in which I was craving something like this in season 4, where it's, yes, you can have your cake and eat it too, of we can have all of the other plots happening at the same time that progress things while focusing in on a character in particular. And this is a prime example of what I wanted from all 10 episodes of season 4.
This episode, more than any in season 4, feels balanced. Because we have this, like, Amos's stuff is almost purely character, and Holden's stuff is almost purely plot. And as somebody who was so excited and invested going into this episode, it's called Churn, which tells me it's going to be an Amos episode. And they delivered on that. And knowing that, and the fact that I was not annoyed cutting away to Holden's shit, is high praise, because I wanted 100% Amos. I didn't get it, and I'm still happy.
I don't know how exactly to describe this sensation, but I'm just going to kind of verbalize it. But the beauty of Amos's side is it's told like his character. That's how I feel about it.
It feels authentic in its tone to Amos as a character, because he is subdued about his trauma. He's matter of fact,
but haunted.
Yeah, and at moments reflective
and firm. And that's, look at the color palette of it. Yes, it's grey and murky and miserable, but there's almost an ethereal quality to every time we cut to Baltimore with him looking at reflections of his past, echoes of his past. And I thought we were going to get more direct, obvious flashback type storytelling, which
predicted flashbacks, and we only got one proper flashback in this episode.
And the others were echoes of memories that were like, and the way they were presented.
You didn't know if it was
or wasn't
happening or not happening then. Because it's just like, oh, it very easily could be another boy being like that's gotten beaten up and a woman's talking to him, because we haven't seen Lydia before. So
true. And even if you know immediately, like I kind of pegged it pretty quickly, I think that just how distant it is very effective. Like, all of those memories are physically at a distance from him until the final one, in which it culminates, in which we see the child, and then it cuts to Amos is that child as an adult, and it just hits beautifully. So we're talking about Amos. Let's just talk about what we got in this. There's so much here, but a lot of it is not new information to us. It is confirmation of things that we have been able to pick up upon.
Concise. Like, we've been drip fed all of these details over the last 4 seasons, and they're kind of just restated and, like you said, confirmed within this episode and within this plot of Amos was born into prostitution as a child, and when he grew out of being desirable for pedophiles, he was then used for muscle, and Lydia helped him escape that life so that he wasn't completely ruined by it, because they just would have used him until there was nothing left.
She's the one that taught him about the churn. You don't save other people, you help them be able to save themselves, is Amos's attitude about it as well. And we get more characters in Amos's past, or ones adjacent to it, because he is here
brother.
Yeah, well, brother in what sense of that word? I take it as not a biological brother, but a brother of that life.
Circumstance.
Yeah, but we'll talk about Eric in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But he is here in Baltimore to deal with Lydia's affairs or just to kind of mourn in a way, know what went on.
Yeah.
And he goes to her place and there's a guy there that he's never met before, but this guy knows all about him.
Yep. And he's pissed at Amos. Like, she waited for you every single fucking day, and now she's not here. That's when you turn up?
She had hope.
Yeah.
And Amos has this look of, oh, really? Okay. Lydia? Hope? Okay, good for her. Like, she got to that place? Nice. Like, it's just the way West Chatham plays it.
Oh, she was still capable of that.
And we find out that, yes,
For me?
this man
Charles?
married her, knew about her life and still did not care, did not judge, but
Yeah.
he is obviously not a part of that world
No.
himself, the way he expresses things and how
Yeah.
Amos counters
I
him.
like the way that they have that conversation. like, when, like, Charles is so blunt with Amos, which is, we know it's a really good way to be, and we've seen that be a strength of Naomi with him,
Holden too.
where Charles is just like, what, you want to beat me up? Is that going to make you feel better? Is that what you came here to do? And after the cute moment where Amos is like, tea sounds good. And they're like sitting down and having that conversation. It makes it much more interesting having that dynamic established. And then you have him, like Charles, talking about that life or the life. And there's no need to say exactly what that was.
But they do discuss it.
Yeah. They talk about it without sort of burdening the conversation with that language. And I find that much more interesting because it shows who these two people are while maintaining sensitivity towards that topic and to the audience.
I knew some of what her life was before. I didn't care.
She just did what she had to do to survive.
Well, you can't judge someone by what they do to make rent.
Sometimes you can.
There's a tricky line to maintain with these kinds of conversation in TV, because you don't want to be so far removed it feels inauthentic and from somebody who was like, oh, they clearly don't know what they're talking about, even if you haven't been in that world.
Yes, or had those experiences. And yet also it's not manipulative.
No.
Which it could easily be. And another thing that's not manipulated here, and it's something that we often talked about as a major strength of Amos, is the plot given at the start of this is this man, Charles, is going to get kicked out of the house because some crime boss owns it and wants it, and Amos is going to most likely have to go on some vengeful, blood raging
I was prepping
tirade.
for an old boy situation. That's what I was gearing up for.
Yeah, and they gear you up for that because we see Amos utilize violence and have and at times have a justified reason for it.
It succeeds in subverting your expectations.
But because we
Which
talk
I hate. That's a phrase that's been
Tainted?
tainted by Ryan Johnson.
by me, actually. I'm Ryan Johnson. That's my last name, everyone.
No.
It's me. I made brick. But the heart of the matter is they, yes, subvert it, but they keep true to everything about this character. He can be violent. He can go on these quests for vengeance or whatever it is, but he doesn't in this episode. He threatens.
He's ready to,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't do it because it doesn't need to be done.
He disarms a person, beats them up a bit, and then when they say, "Hey, I'm done," he backs off and is like, "Okay, I know you had to do your job here. I've done this stuff. Take me to this Eric." But it is just an amazing thing of Amos is this psychopathic, hothead, big, muscly guy who shoot you without any remorse. Like, that's how you could easily boil the character down.
You can paint him in that light.
And the show could easily paint him in that light. Like, how many times when we watched something like Farscape, Dargo got very much painted with a broad brush stroke of, oh, he's a hothead who will just cause trouble.
It him as a character. It didn't give him It didn't give him the chance to have any dimensionality.
Yeah, and it robbed it from him when he had earned it, and then they would use that again. While Amos, they're very wise about how they tap into that well of his character, because he feels like an actual person rather than an archetype. And this episode could have easily given you the bloodlust of the old boy archetype of like, here's this guy coming back to his past and he must take down the gangster who's ruling this town. And instead, it's just this very casual thing, to the point in which when Amos does go to visit this person, they know each other for a start, but you can tell that he didn't even fathom the implications of his existence in this area.
He was just like, I'm doing the thing. Why should it matter to anybody else?
I'm trying to do the right thing here. I'm not here for my own personal glory or ego or ambition or power, which dumbfounds Eric to begin with.
It does, but it echoes back to his responses about like being a mob boss. Or well, we learn
not
really him, but like his attitude towards the life that he left behind in Baltimore.
He could have been stuck in.
Yeah. And it's just like, I'm not that person anymore.
And we know why because of 4 seasons, but they go that extra mile yet again with that flashback with Lydia and how she talks to him about how they can imagine themselves being better. And that gives us a further understanding of why he managed to break free of this system that chews people up and spits them back out again. How he managed to understand the churn and get out of this particular version of it and go somewhere else. So when he can come back, the people who still are in it are threatened by his presence, because is he here to play the game yet again? And I want to just know this, because we're being very serious. There's something just a bit light. How do you feel about learning Amos's backstory in terms of
Little Timmy?
And Amos.
Little Timmy made a mug.
Little Timmy had a little mug, and that Timmy is his real name, and that Amos Burton was some actual person that he's assumed the identity of.
He stole the identity of Amos to get off planet.
Murdered Amos to get off planet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like, is that something that you assumed already, or what?
No, like I hadn't really given it too much thought. Like, I thought it was that he did get to that position within the sort of gang structure of Baltimore and noped out.
Yeah, did something irredeemable and noped out, and that's why he was in hiding.
He got to that position so that he could leave. So it was interesting that it was an arrangement that he seems to have made with Eric, that Amos killed Amos.
Timmy
killed Amos.
Instead of Eric.
Instead of Eric so the Timmy got Amos's identity documents, was able to get off planet, and Eric was able to secure Amos's position.
Mm-hmm. And they keep it vague enough. This part of Amos's backstory is still left to be filled in if they want.
If they want, because the specifics
aren't important.
At this time in particular, like, it matters that he killed somebody to get the documents to move on with his life.
Eric is a very, very interesting character because
great casting. Like,
he's so good.
I loved this actor as Eric.
He was very charming. Like,
it was just like, oh yeah, you are a mob boss.
But he's also a dork.
Yeah, he's like, look at all my cool stuff.
Look, I got a pool table.
I got motorbikes in my office.
I've got some nice alcohol here, aren't I fancy? But I thought he was interesting because, again, I was, even though I was accepting what they were doing with this story, I was still conditioned to think, oh, we're going to meet a big, tough mob boss guy who is going to be someone Amos has to kill.
Like bullies.
But instead, we meet a fairly meek man. Someone, the actor has, he has, I don't know what his condition necessarily is, but like he's born without a hand,
say
right?
Limb difference.
Yes, and he's a meek looking little guy, and he's trying to put on this air of I'm strong.
Physically a contrast to Amos.
He has a big gun, a big pistol that is waving around, and he's
testing Amos by leaving it on the table.
I just thought this actor did such a, he was very magnetic. Just the cadence of his voice when he had to drop the whole facade, and then he was like, "Shit, man, you should have told me." Like, "Oh, you scared the fuck out of me."
That's all. I don't care about the fucking
Yeah, he can stay. He can
small
stay.
beans, dude.
This actor, he stepped up to the plate of doing one of the most important things that anyone has to do here, which is to make us believe that he has had a lifetime's worth of history with a character we know.
Yes. And he doesn't feel like he's just blipped into existence because Amos is back in Baltimore. It feels like this dude has continued his life, has known Amos from the past, has had these interactions, has continued and
has feelings
is now
about him.
intersecting with Amos again.
The two people, Charles and Eric, are devices to give exposition. That's the truth of the matter. But there's the way that they wrote it, and the performers. I didn't mention, but like Charles, that actor's in everything. Like, I've seen him in a million things. He was in Coming to America.
Because you don't see the strings. Looking at the puppet.
That's it. You're looking at the show. And if you're looking at the strings, you're a freak. But we were looking at the puppets this time, dancing around. But no. In all sincerity, he was very charismatic character. I would be happy if we saw him again, but if we don't, this is good enough as well. And Amos, you think at the end of all of this, he's going to go back to Holden, go back to the Rocinante, but instead he sees
some other business on Earth.
Because Eric and him as children, the fondest memories they have is looking, sitting on the docks and looking at the rockets going up and thinking oh, we could be on one of those out of here. And Amos is doing that at the end, and instead he's maybe staying or maybe going elsewhere. He's not going back home to the Rocinante is the most important thing.
There's one more thing that I've got to do, and then I'm never going to come back to Earth.
Yeah, and he has to phone up Christian to help him because he needs someone powerful.
We'll save it for predictions.
Yeah, we can save the prediction there. He's going to visit Aaron Wright, his favorite guy. Whoops. Whoopsies. Sorry. something that just leaps out at me with the way that this series has been examining Amos as a character is they aren't just saying this is the only problem. That's it. It's not just, oh, that's it. He's had so many other things that come from that as well, and choices that he has actively made through the series that have made things dire for him at times as well. Like, he does have he has responsibilities for the wrong things he has done in life, not just, oh, well, Amos hasn't done anything wrong because, well, didn't you hear his traumatic backstory? Washes his hands clean of everything. Like, it's not one of those things either.
No, it's not like he's been hurt so much he can do no wrong.
He's been hurt so much you can't blame him for every horrible thing he's ever done. It's like, no, they're not getting rid of his accountability for his own choices in life, which has been the thing that you've been really drawn to with Amos as a character, of how he wants to improve, but also he's kind of at that state where he's like, well, this is what I am, but he also keeps imprinting on people. When we see Lydia, the moments we've seen of her, she kind of makes sense of why he imprints on certain types of women the way he does. Like, why he imprinted on Naomi, why he imprinted on Anna, like stuff like that. It really kind of like locks into place. Yeah, Christian, well, he treats her differently.
He does.
He treats her very differently. He's having a bit of fun with that, but
like, it isn't. We keep on circling back to it isn't exploitative. It isn't melodrama. It doesn't go there with the material, which is something that other products do. And that's the whole reason that some things exist.
You watch and read many things for that release yourself. I was going to say that earlier too. Like, you're a big fan of shows that just exist to exploit the emotions. You literally fast forward 2 scenes of those so that you can just get that hit and then move on.
Yep. And with books too.
What the hell happened to you out there?
One thing and another.
Yeah. Here too. I mean, look at all this.
Your favorite character, Bobby, is moving on up in
pulling Alex into the
conspiracy.
Yeah,
into her investigations. She's got names. She's got faces.
She's got a buddy.
She's got a friend now. Alex is
Alex goes to a lecture because
he loves lectures. Why does he
go? He's the guy giving the lecture at the War College, if I remember that correctly, is a possible lead for somebody who could be like higher up in the chain of people who are like selling equipment, selling off Martian assets. And he used to work with him, so Alex goes to try and check it out because he's just like, no, Bobby, you're wrong. This guy is primo Martian.
He's so morally upright that it's unbelievable that he would do such a thing. He is the bastion of greatness, and what we see of him lives up to that.
Yeah.
What we see in this episode.
That monologue was fantastic.
It was the this is the theme of the show monologue.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know that thing we keep hitting upon about like our legacy and like how we interact with the world and like defining moments and like how progress happens, and yet the human condition will remain the same, or will it? That's a constant battle. Will we change as the times change? Are we just going to keep tearing at each other's throats, or are we going to become more enlightened as we find something beyond ourselves? Oh, the Epstein drive and now the ring gates. Like, we can go to all of these places, but will the problems remain the same? The name of the place is Babylon 5. It was a great monologue, and I did kind of chuckle at how much it was just...
A monologue? Peter's just like, it's a lecture.
It was a writer's lecturing to me about what they're doing in the show, and I'm like, oh, I got
here at this point.
Oh, guys,
in this season,
I got it, guys. I picked up on this. Thank you.
Oh, what?
It's a 4-minute monologue, but thank you. But
again, it's reinforcing things.
I gotta ask. Is this contrived? That Alex just happens to know one of the most important key figures in Bobby's conspiracy because he served with him,
Yes.
and that Alex thinks, oh, I'm good enough of a friend that I could bend the person's ear, which isn't the case. It kind of goes in a different direction there. But is it contrived?
I knew that Alex was never going to actually have that pull.
But
I knew that he was going to try.
I don't know, like, I get it. Like, Alex has a past, and it just always comes up annoying. It annoys me how, at first, it made it very much seem like Alex was, like, a nothing
Glorified
Martian.
bus driver.
And then every time since then, they've had to reference him being, like, a Martian soldier. It's been in the most extremely, like, successful circumstances. Like, oh, thank God that Alex has this past that gives him these connections and this reputation and everything. And I get it. Like, it's this idea of, like, Martians always respect their veterans and their soldiers. But then also we had a whole season of seeing that wasn't true. So, but the times they had changed, you see. I don't know, like, I like that Alex is involved in a plot, like an actual plot, like a conspiracy plot, but I don't know, like a part of me just kind of rolls my eyes a bit at like, oh, he happens to know the big head honcho guy.
I feel like they've been doing interesting things with Alex's ego because he is kind of self-important in the fact that, like, he still believes that he was justified to leave his family behind and that he wanted to be something greater, and now he is, but he also has a right to be back in his ex-wife and child's lives. That, you know, his interactions with, like, the sort of Martian border control when he rocked up in
the Razorback.
The Razorback, and them being like, yeah, you did save us, but you are on a stolen Martian ship, so swings and roundabouts.
Because he tries to connect with this guy, and it's just, no, you're terrible. You sided with Earthers. You've ruined everything.
You're not a Martian anymore. So the fact that he's trying to go and cash in on this potential capital that he has with this old boss of his, and that he gets shot down immediately.
He's doing this too because he believes in the Martian dream still. He hasn't been dissuaded from that, even though there's been so many opportunities for that to be the case.
No.
He still believes that, oh, surely this can't be going on. You can't just buy this, Bobby. That's absurd. There's systems in place. We can go to the police. Well, there's the military police. No, you're saying they're corrupt? What? No.
Corruption.
A phrase that I think often describes Alex is he misses the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
he left his wife and kid to gallivant around the universe and be a cowboy hero. And guess what?
But he wasn't even getting to be like that. Like,
no, but
he was
that's
just
it.
the pilot of a freighter ship.
Yeah, but he was Mr. I've got my drawl, I've got my hat, I've got, like, he was pretending.
I'm destined for better things attitude.
But when he actually obtains the thing, he completely doesn't understand how that's how that's actually going on. He obtained, like, the Martian dream of, like, I did my commission, I'm respected, I've got a wife, I've got a kid, I've got a home, and then he has to fuck it up because it's not enough. And now he's literally become a hero of the system, and he doesn't even recognize it.
But he kind of does.
But he also doesn't, like, when this comes to bite him in the ass because
delights in being known in a way that the other members of the Rossi don't. Like,
but he's also clueless to the impact of
Yeah.
his actions in the system at large because
he has
gets
a
shot.
very low social intelligence.
Really? No, I'm shocked to hear that. No, you're completely correct on that. And when he gets, rebuffed and shot down by this Martian, the Martian's aide comes in and gives him the rundown of like, oh no, it's just you've embarrassed him because you're the first Martian to ever do this, and you're the first Martian to ever do that, and you're this grand hero, and your name will be remembered forever. And Alex is genuinely taken aback and hadn't thought about it fully like that. It's like, oh, right.
He's
And
just like, I was just there.
I almost died, but I managed to get by the skin of my teeth.
But it's also like, when she said that, I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
I hadn't thought of that either. I was just like, he's a member of the crew. But yeah, like, he is the only Martian that was there because it was
He was the first to go through.
Belters and Earthers.
Martians were in the ring space too. They were
Yeah,
running
but they
around.
didn't go onto the exoplanet, and he was like
Mhm.
the first one that went through the ring.
Oh yeah. It's just such a interesting thing of how we come back around to this question a lot. We've said it to deride the character, but also it's a defining thing of what would make him happy. Like, what would satisfy Alex? His ex-wife brought it up too, of like, oh, it's going to go like this until you want me to play it out the way you want. But like, where does it end? Like, what's the end point of that? For him, he's a midlife crisis character. He's going through a midlife crisis. But what would make him happy? Like, what is the outcome for Alex to be happy? Because he's become like the big hero of Mars and like this pioneer of stuff, and he still doesn't, he takes it for granted still. He doesn't get it.
Yeah. I don't think anything would make him happy. He would always be chasing his tail.
He also doesn't like being upstaged.
I don't see how I could have upstaged him.
First pilot to safely transit the Sol Ring, first Martian to set foot on an exoplanet.
That's just me being in the wrong place at the right time.
Everyone in this room would disagree. It's an honor to meet you, Senior Chief.
Now he's having to chase down leads for a cause that Bobby is invested in, and Bobby's having to report back to Christian about the matter, and Christian is getting all of the information as much as possible.
People are underestimating Christian again because she's not top dog, and we know that is going to bite them in the ass hard.
She has a daughter
Yeah.
who has children as well, from what I understand.
Yeah, I was like, what the what?
Where did this come? Why didn't they tell us this earlier? We've never heard this before, have we? Have we missed this? Maybe we missed a photo or something, but she's coming in now.
So much has been about her son.
And like they gave off single parent vibe. Like they are parents for our kid now.
She seems like a woman that's too busy to have more than one kid.
We're 5 seasons in, and now they're dropping this. Come on.
It's just like, wait, so
where was she before?
Was that grandson not the son's son?
No, he must have been. The way they treated that grandson, who we'll never see again, and I think he's only been credited as grandson 1, which means there'll be 2, I guess. I don't know. She's here to just say, oh, by the way, Dad's back on Earth. He'll accept you if you came back groveling, hat in hand, by the way, and just accept that you're old and
you're done.
You're done.
You should be done, Mom. You should be done. And Christian's like, no. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. By the way, glad that I have more family members in this series. I'm sure you'll be in peril later.
What's next? Her dad shows up in the next
I'm pretty
episode?
sure they've said that her dad
I
died.
know. I'm being a smart ass. No, he's just
No. So I was going to say blue goo ghost for Christian.
Why not? Give her a blue goo ghost of her dad to give her pep talk. No, I'm happy that we're at this point with Christian in which people are undervaluing her and underestimating her because that's how she operates best.
Better as an underdog.
And she is an underdog with her family. As we just said, her daughter, that great character who we all know and love, has always been here. Always been here.
Oh, the general that I had totally remembered.
The Admiral. He's an Admiral, right? He was good in this episode too, because Christian is piecing together the Marco plot.
Yeah, he's probably the one that's been buying up potential tech and potentially has stealth tech, and that he probably had something to do with the destruction of the
station near Venus, the research station, and basically why would that be the case? What would be the reason behind that? And she reports all of the findings or a majority of them to Gao herself and a conference of people.
Gao shuts her down, being like, "That's not your job anymore."
Admiral, can you confirm any of this? It's 50-50. Okay, Christian, thank you for that, but if you don't actually want to do your fucking job, then just write in next time. Stop wasting our time. Where was this? Nancy Gao's more interesting in this one video phone call than she was in an entire season.
Yeah.
And power changes a person. That's a conversation that they have. And that's fine and all, but man, I would have loved to have seen a Nancy Gao with some teeth last season than now, where it's like, if we rarely see her throughout the show, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either.
She needed some grit to her last season that they're now giving us.
It would have made the election subplot more interesting for me.
The Admiral, he's in her corner, or at least she's making sure he is because she's wheeling and dealing him.
Checking in. She's playing her game.
Is it working?
She's delightful. And I'm glad that we're back to speaking warmly about Christian as a character.
I am okay with her.
It's not back to the height that it was.
She's just not as rich of a character to me right now. They've got to build her up again because there's not much to say about her in this episode other than she's aware of the Marco plot and she's piecing it together. Will she get it in time? Will she not? And we'll just have to wait and see. Honestly, the most I have to say about this is the fact that they just randomly introduced a family member into her life now, and it feels hollow.
Sucked.
It feels hollow. It feels unearned, but
it was just like, oh.
And I want to talk about actual Christian as a character and like what's she doing in terms of not just story, but like themes and messages and like how I feel about the performance. Be way more interesting.
But it's just like what we said earlier with Charles and Eric, they're there to do exposition, but they feel like people, not just devices. Christian's daughter, assumably somebody much more important to her,
feels like a stranger.
More than the literal stranger that Amos meets.
Man.
Like, that's a very damning thing. A damning comparison to have in the same episode.
We started the episode with a return from Drummer. We haven't seen her until now.
She's back.
She wasn't in the premiere.
She's trying to clean up the belt. One pirate ship at a time.
Make sure her authority is known.
I adore it. I love that she has her crew. She's being all serious, but she's like very clearly close with them, and they sit down for dinner.
Very, very flirty.
Yeah.
Very flirty vibes. They're watching her be badass bitch drummer, yelling at people, tearing them a new asshole, enforcing her law upon them, and then while she's doing that, they're giving her these looks of like, no, there she goes again. And once she's off, they try and lighten her mood a bit.
Yeah,
and
they try and get her to like clock off.
And they're like playing around and they're feeding her food while she's trying to chat about this stuff that's going on. This was just a very playful. It was a very playful scene,
and it's a nice check in with like, let's show what she's doing and what course she's been on, because they don't be like, and this is what Drummer's been up to for the last 3 months. It's just like, we get to see it, and then we get to see her get the information that they've discovered Ashford's ship.
Ashford's ship has been found, and she thought they never would find it, and now she will be hitting the ground running to go after that and know what's happening.
Which hopefully means like them finding his body and his recording.
Well, he sent the recording off.
Yeah.
So it went somewhere. That's still like, it could be like, because it's space, it could be reaching somewhere in an episode or two of transmitting out.
Still working, Kay? Still work to do. Not many VGs in life. I'm a sin for let them pass unmarked. This was a good day! You're right, it was.
This is a jam-packed episode, and yet it still maintains this pacing that's very slow. I never felt overwhelmed by the amount of scenes and action set pieces and character stuff and just, teasing of future plot elements, because we have a whole bunch of crazy shit happening on Tycho, Rachel. Like we're talking about all this stuff that we've got here at the moment, and there's many more things happening over with Holden, with Monica, with Fred's like right-hand man guy, like the Rocinante is getting fixed up, like it's almost like giving me like a sweat on my brow of like, oh, there's still so much to talk about, and yet when we were watching it, it didn't feel that labored with all of these things.
No, it's like lots of thin layers. We were both scared in this episode. We were scared that they introduced Monica just to take her away by killing her.
It would have been a dog act if they brought her back just to kill her.
They didn't kill her.
They almost killed her.
We are both very pleased about that. And I'm even more pleased that she nearly killed herself. Like, trying to escape is what fucked her over.
But it's also what saved her. Because they say we wouldn't have been able to find you if you didn't punch a hole in your crate because there was air exuding out of it. So we were able to find you. Like Holden mentions that, like, she almost killed herself, but she saved herself at the same time. So Monica is a crafty one, but we're talking about the trouble she finds herself in. But how did she get into this trouble? Why are we worried that they would have killed our favorite reporter?
'Cause she knows something about the proto-molecule, and there are people on Tycho that are not okay with that. And
are in on it, probably.
It's not Fred's people. That's what Fred is saying. I believe him because he seems really stressed out about his lack of control. And I think mainly because of the economy of characters, it's going to be that new guy.
Interesting.
That
I have my own thoughts on that, but we can talk about that maybe a bit later. But you see, I got the opposite feeling. I think Fred's completely lost his grip on all of this, and that is mainly brought up in the conversation with his right-hand man, somebody who, he's not a belter, he's from the Fred's UN days, right? Like from the army days. And he has this back and forth with Fred about underdogs. You assume that all underdogs are good.
Yep.
That's your problem, Fred. You assume that just because they're an underdog, that must mean that they are worthy of being boosted and being supported and finding their way and being the top dog, which that isn't necessarily true, especially perhaps the OPA. Have you ever thought about that, Fred? And Fred's like, nah, it's fine. It's fine. What's that? My station is got a cabal of people working against me, perhaps? Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Am I stressing about it? No, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm not stressed about it. Everything's under control.
I have it under control.
Like the proto-molecule. That's under control, right, Rachel? Like, Monica says no. Monica says,
but Fred says otherwise.
There's a lot going on with Fred without it having a lot of screen time. He doesn't get too much screen time in this episode, but there's just a lot of gears going on with this character. Talk to me about Fred Johnson and about how you feel about his character at this point. Like, from where we met him to now, like, what's your overall opinion of him and, like, how we've come to this stage with him?
He's a jerk. He knows he's a jerk and is being a jerk.
You think he's a jerk? And he knows it? I think he believes that he's a good man. And
he's a builder.
He's a builder, yeah.
I'm being facetious. He believes in what he is doing, and he will keep believing in what he is doing until he goes too far. We saw him do that with the UN, and he's gonna do it again with the belt.
With the proto-molecule, with Holden, he's tried to flex his power on him at times, and yet he's also had restraint. He's been able to step back.
He wants to have learned from his mistakes.
Has he? Can he? Can anyone?
Well, I think that's part of what the show is exploring with him as a character.
And your thoughts on it?
I don't think so, because I think he is still searching for redemption. And I don't feel like the show believes in the kind of redemption that he wants.
How much of it is redemption and how much of it is glory? Is there a blurring of the lines between those two for his character? Because he's very important. Everyone listens to me. I'm this big figure in history. I was infamous, but now I'm going to be beloved because I'm a builder and I'm improving things. And there's no way that anyone would go against me because what I'm doing is right. Why would anyone work against that?
And everybody believes that the same thing is right.
Every underdog is worthy of support and help. No. And Monica gets kidnapped because she's obviously pulling on the string here of this proto-molecule conspiracy, and she knows information that will make James Holden jump up and do something that will ruin it for everyone. Even Holden doesn't want to do it. He's so dragging his feet at having to do the plot.
He declines the invite and then goes anyway.
He rewinds it to hear the key phrases that will activate protagonist mode in James Holden, and he's like, God damn it. Fuck.
I can't say no to this.
Fucking damn it. Jesus. And the Rocinante is getting fixed up during all of this, and he's getting no sleep or not he's not getting good sleep, which is always the best way for Holden to operate for a season, which is sleepy, tired, exhausted Holden. He said to Monica depleted. Monica said to him last episode, "You look well rested." That's going to be the last time this season, huh? That he's going to be well rested because he's alone and his ship is getting worked on. And Monica, who do you think, like, what do you think is going on with the proto-molecule stuff that she's uncovered? And who are the people, this faction that within the Tycho, within this area, are kidnapping her and putting her in a crate to let her, like, die without ever being found?
I'm not sure. I assume that it's probably Marco. But that's just me going, well, it's probably somebody that we know.
Not Anderson Dawes?
No, I don't want to get my hope up.
Well, he doesn't even need to be in the show, but, like, his factions of things.
They do keep on referring to him, so maybe.
I'm not too sure. I think that you believe that it's Fred Johnson's right-hand man guy that is behind it. I think it's May from Discovery, the one that's repairing the ship.
Yeah.
Because they keep coming across as ever so nice and friendly and non-antagonistic.
Oh, yeah, you're right. A new Naomi.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've swayed me.
That's my belief. But yeah, I don't, like, they're going to tap into the proto-molecule stuff, and obviously they don't want James Holden to do his white knight routine and stop everything.
Can't leave the blue goo alone.
She said someone was going after the proto-molecule. She had proof, and then minutes later she's grabbed. That can't be a coincidence.
My people will find her.
Your people are a part of this.
We don't know that yet.
I was genuinely concerned that they were going to kill Monica in the episode. I was worried for dear life that they were going to off her,
she's not
up
safe.
the stakes.
She's not safe.
Because I like her, and the Expanse can be very cruel to things I liked, like the show itself, and then it gave me season 4.
Okay. Like, I know this is kind of skipping ahead, but I feel like that is a great segue into Holden being made fun of by the show, with Fred being like, that's just your whole life, isn't it? Just pressing buttons. Like, I loved that line so much. I wish that I'd written it down so I could say it verbatim, but it was just
man. He keeps Mr. Magooing his way into situations, doesn't he, Holden?
It's just Holden.
I just pressed a button, and now plots are happening.
It's exactly what happened. Not on the planet, because it was pulling the route.
Yeah, well, it was as simple as that.
It was a very similar thing, but it was like literally a button, I think, when he like activated the ring gates, like the network.
It's always just him stumbling his way through, and maybe with good intentions or just naivete. And
what does this do?
Man, I love how pissed off Fred Johnson is with him, because when they first met, he was in awe of Holden, just like, well, you must be like the luckiest dipshit in the galaxy. Like, what's your deal all about?
And
like,
it's just like, oh, Holden's just a dipshit to Fred now, and I love it. I love it that he's just like, I have to fucking deal with this stupid prick again.
As we all do. A thing that I have come to really cherish about James Holden as a protagonist is he is so noble, man. Like, he's brave, noble, gonna do the right thing, man. That people think they can use that.
There. He's got the jetpack on, going after Monica.
And people think that they can use that to their benefit. Oh, Christian's going to use that to her benefit. Fred Johnson's going to use that to their benefit. Like, they keep thinking, oh, well, if I weaponize him for my own means, which I believe to be good, then it will work out. But the thing is, Holden keeps going that extra mile, and it fucks them. It fucks them, and then they get angry at him for being James Holden.
Yes!
It's like, what's that, James Holden? You just pushed a button. Fuck you.
It made me think of, like, Naomi being like, James Holden can't come with me. You're a liability.
Oh, by the way.
And it's just like, he's a liability on Tycho.
He's a liability on his own. Yeah. By the way, no Naomi in this episode. Didn't miss her.
Didn't miss her.
Episode flowed great. Didn't miss her.
Got a little bit with every other member of the Rossi crew.
Mm-hmm. No Marco.
Didn't feel her absence. Didn't think about it at all.
Oh man, what a weird. And that means the next episode's going to be all about Naomi. Of course, that's what's going to be.
Yeah, I think they'll.
Well, how about we rate this first? I give Churn a yum yum.
Yum yum.
It's a yum yum from me.
Yum yum.
The next episode's title, I want you to think about it not just in the most obvious literal sense of what could be plot stuff that happens, because it's one in which it will be obvious to go, oh, it's about this.
Yes.
It's called Mother. So please say anything other than it's going to be about Naomi being a mum.
Christian.
Being a mum.
Bobby being the mother.
To Alex? You silly little guy, get here.
Oh, of a conspiracy.
Sure, she's birthing a conspiracy, and she's punching and sweaty about it. Now, what do you think is going to happen in episode 3 of season 5, Mother?
I think it's going to be focused. I think the AB is going to be split between Naomi and maybe Alex and Bobby.
And what is happening in those?
Like Naomi's going to be on Philip's trail. I don't think she's going to catch up with him just yet. Maybe with Philip, but not with Marco, because we know that they weren't together last time that we saw them. So maybe that's still the case.
I can't recall. Do we know where Philip is? She does, but I cannot recall now where he is.
Like he saw him on some station, I think.
If he's on Mars, then then Naomi.
Maybe.
But I don't think so.
I don't think he would go that far in, because it was.
he was at Venus.
Yeah, but like Christian was like, that's dangerous for them. They don't usually attack that far in. So. And we're, getting days away from their plan of destroying Earth and Mars.
You think it's Mars too?
I thought it was.
I feel like he's just going after Earth.
I thought it was both, but
maybe. Okay, Mother, obvious. It's going to be about mummy issues with Naomi. I'm going to go on a different tact. I'm going to say it's going to be a drama episode as well. With her having to be like...
Amos go and see his mom?
I don't know if he knows...
I don't think it's going to be Amos seeing his mom. I want Amos to go see Clarissa.
There you go. Clarissa's your prediction of who Amos will see. Mine is Ehrenreich, of course. He was best friends with Ehrenreich. They had so many great scenes together, just like how Christian's daughter has had so many scenes in the show. We know her so well. She'll be a big character in the next episode too, because she's a daughter to a powerful mother. No. I
do think that we might get a little bit more on Tycho.
Oh, of course. Holden's going to hear the news from Monica, and she will give him the information that he needs to go on his quest. I think that it's going to be a drama episode as well, like I was just saying. I think it's going to be about her tracking down Ashford's ship, and problems ensue from there, and her having to come to terms with going on a personal quest whilst also still trying to maintain her job that she's got going on right now of like putting down order and rule within her area, because she's trying to like get things in motion with her like iron fist of justice approach. But if she leaves to go on this personal quest, like how much will that like make things unstable and undo her work, and she's got her new crew of people. I want to see them become characters. I don't know anything about them. They're just people. I don't know anything about. I couldn't tell you a single defining thing about any of them.
Really, really want them to become people, not props to be killed off.
One can dream.
I know that. I know that it's not
Rachel. They're not in a Bobby plot. They're not in a Bobby plot yet. So that's not going to happen until them. Only Bobby gets that. Only Bobby gets that. Oh, and my other thing.
Now I'm afraid of them coming together.
Oh, coming together. She's afraid of it, guys. But I need to flag something up now.
Yeah.
Prediction-wise.
What you got for me?
Prediction-wise, I think that we're going to
I feel like it's going to be something stupid.
We're gonna kill Fred Johnson in this season. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
He's just walking. He's walking this tightrope of
not stupid, just a little out there.
He's too relaxed.
Yeah.
Like he's manic, but he's too relaxed in his position, and it's going to kill him.
We see him losing control.
And there's going to be a cost.
Overconfident and like his arrogance about the blue goo.
This is a season in which things are not going to go the way that our heroes want them to. People like Fred Johnson are going to die. I think Earth is going to get bombarded, and it's not going to, they're not going to avoid that fate, even though they're going to rush at it and
there's
try.
There's going to be a cost.
And the orange goo is going to activate some Cthulhian horror at the end of the season. Like, those are my big plan predictions. And the actress who plays, I can't remember the character's name, like Babbage, the right-hand woman to the person Alex is investigating, she's going to be a character of note because that actress, I know her. She was in Hannibal. She's Freddie Lowndes in Hannibal. She's the moniker equivalent in Hannibal.
I think that she's going to be the one using the general's access codes.
Oh, she's
I think she's going to be the puppet master.
Oh, that's good. I like that theory too. Now, is there anything else you want to speculate on or talk about or go over, or are we good to just keeping on, getting out of here?
I think probably longer term, I think Alex is going to leave Mars before he gets to see his kid, and that's going to piss his kid off. But in a way where it's like, well, I shouldn't be disappointed because you're always like this.
His kid grows up to be really into musicals instead of westerns.
There's plenty of musical westerns.
No.
I used to really enjoy the version of Oklahoma with Hugh Jackman, for example.
Who didn't? We all love that. He was such a muscly singing man. It's like, has he ever stopped being that? Is he still the man from Oklahoma? Well, that is our discussion on Churn, an episode with quite a lot going on, quite a lot to think about, quite a lot to discuss. And if you like what we've talked about here and you want to support the podcast, you can do so over on Patreon. If you support the podcast,
bonus of you getting a bunch of extra Expanse content because we release our coverage there first.
As well as so much other bonus material that never makes it onto the main feed. You also get to be a part of our community, our group Discord.
Hours.
Oh, hours and hours and hours and hours of content. And you get to be a part of our community, our group Discord. You get to chat with us and other people who listen to the pod about things. You can correct us on this or that, but obviously don't spoil. If you want to spoil, there's a spoiler zone in the Discord that you can chat away in that Rachel and I don't get to see. You can be ripping your hair out saying, I can't believe they didn't predict that the next episode Mother is actually Havelock. He's the mother. How could they not predict that? Silly gooses. And I slap my face and go, duh, silly me indeed. Egg all over my face. Quack, quack. And
this came out before, like, Mother with the exclamation mark with Jennifer Lawrence.
No, this came out after, I gotta say. I thought you were gonna say this came out after L'Rell from Star Trek Discovery declared herself Mother. Rachel got viscerally upset at that, so we better head on out of here. Thank you all so much for listening. You can find our social medias in the description. We're on all of them. Make sure to rate and review the podcast and share it around. Let everyone know about this. Let everyone know about Yum Yum Podcast, going through and exploring the Expanse. Well, Rachel, you're disgusted. You're upset because I referenced the iconic mother moment from Star Trek Discovery. How about I bring a smile to your face?
I don't trust you.
The orphan and the Gaunt Belter will return.
I was right to not trust you.
See you then. Well, voila.